Welcome to the podcast,
Welcome to the podcast,
Bants and Rants, with me, Abdullah, and
Ralph. This is going to be the last stream for the half term because, well, as everyone knows, we would like to take our vacation as well because we're stressed students. You know how it is. Anyways, today we are going to have a YOLO stream and we're going to have a couple of guests on. We are still not sure who we're going to have.
Do you mind introducing yourselves, or shall we introduce you?
No,
I want to introduce myself, as it should be.
Okay. Not
Coming
to
on
introduce
again.
himself, but he's going to come on later in the stream. So, ladies and gents, our first guest.
Hi, my name is Elgin. My name is Elgin.
Nose to nose.
They can hear
What?
you.
What do
Nose
you
to
mean?
nose to
They can hear you.
Alright, what's up? It's your boy here, Elgin Edison.
He just ruined our podcast and removed the rest of our subscribers. Oh my days, such a tragedy. Anyways, Abdullah, since this is a YOLO stream and we're really not sure what we're going to talk about, Abdullah saw this beautiful news article from BBC or CNN. Just a random article.
No, it's got to be CNN, obviously, because in London we use
Just a
CNN.
random article that Abdullah would like to share with you all.
Okay, the article is it's quite tragedy actually. It's
Quite
it
tragedy.
is a tragedy.
Man
It's,
said
not,
quite
it's
tragedy.
not a funny thing. Do you understand? Okay, be
Quite
serious,
tragic,
okay?
my boy. Not
So what's
quite
happened is-
tragedy.
In China, a couple. Most of them are basically, yeah. How do I say this in a nice? Basically, what happened was the husband essentially faked his own death to get an insurance claim, and then the wife was not aware of this, as well as the children. So I think she went through depression and just suicidal thoughts. So she took her kids and killed herself along with the kids. And then the husband turned himself in.
There we go. Quite a tragic story from the East. Anyways, to divert our attention from that, since this is a YOLO stream, I would like to take suggestions from anyone. If that is. Oof, definitely no questions. Come on, English food. Come on. It's no. English food is just. It's basically get one ingredient and slap it all together. There's no art to it. I'm sorry. So a man in the common room named Nico just asked the question: which is better, East Asian food or English food? Isn't the answer obvious?
I think you should let our guest Elgin talk.
Okay, sure.
Right, hello again. Very valid points from both sides of the party. But I would argue that, based on my experience, that English food is the superior.
any Asian food.
Now, you mentioned.
This is a guy who eats, I assume, bacon every day in the morning as breakfast.
Alright, here, first thing. I had an.
not tried any Asian food.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one
You
thing,
haven't
as an
tried
Indian
Asian food, have
myself,
you?
I have.
The only thing is eaten is English food. The most Indian food that he has eaten is chicken tikka masala.
That is not true.
That is British.
Who you pointing?
That is English right there.
English of Indian origin is what I say. Now, when it comes to English food,
Calling
however,
yourself a chicken tikka masala?
I'm not calling myself a chicken tikka.
Okay,
masala.
no. Let's establish this. What's the food that you've had from English food and East Asian food? Go on.
Well, I had an orange for breakfast this morning.
Okay, I think that's international.
I had
Just
tea
because-
with. I had tea with it.
Oh, okay.
No, it's really.
Tea is technically Chinese.
No,
and
tea
Indian.
is Indian.
Yeah, sorry,
East
Indian.
Indian.
Why am I thinking of the Opium Wars? I'm sorry.
Oh no.
Right. Anyway, tea, oranges, a brioche bun. Never have bacon. It's too salty, to be honest. Yeah, it's mostly fruit in the morning, and in terms of what I eat later
Okay, so
that
let's
day,
just go through your daily intake.
my daily life.
Yeah, what do you have for breakfast this morning?
Want to divulge that information.
No. It's for the
internet.
purposes of this
That is
podcast.
true.
What did you have for breakfast this morning?
Well, I just told you, tea and an orange.
We're not a breakfast show, aren't we?
Tea and orange is so bad for you.
What do you mean? What's wrong with tea and orange?
When you have tea and orange, because the orange.
It's acidic as
Yeah.
It's going to give you more than acidity.
And orange is not good for your stomach if you have
Are you
ache.
telling me?
Well, it is good, but not for breakfast
No.
meal, I'd say.
Yeah.
But they're both fine together then.
So as of now, to give some context, there
You
are
have like
about
Oreos and milk. That's what you should have.
7 people in the podcast room, and since this is indeed a YOLO podcast,
It's
we're
8
just
people. Can you not count?
starting about.
Can you not count? It's 8. It's 8. Can you not count?
I'm sorry, Dan. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I'm partially blind. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Ooh. Ooh.
Hey, Abdullah, can we have Ibrahim on? Apparently, he has a few philosophical thoughts that he would
Yeah,
like
let's
to
have
share with the
Ibrahim on the
audience.
show. Oh, are you busy? You want to come on later?
I mean,
Let's bring Ibrahim in.
like, right now.
Yeah.
That's what orange is. We are.
Can you just direct the mic? Can you just move the mic? Abdullah, oh my days.
Alright.
It's not me, I didn't set that up. Ask Nico. Alright, Ibrahim,
Yeah.
can you share to the people a few of your philosophical thoughts that you would like to discuss?
Alright, yeah. Well, basically, I got this from like rereading, like, you know, some stuff from RE, like, you know.
Yeah.
You know the book of Genesis, and then they talk about. Like,
Are you
the
doing
evil
RE
things,
for
like-
your A levels?
Nah,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
God help me now. But I was like reading that, so like that story is really like kind of weird if you think about it. Like it's like
Weird in what way?
What?
Weird in what way?
Think about it. So like God punishes like 2 humans, or if you define them as human because they don't have like parents, but for eating from this tree of knowledge and of good and evil in a sense. And you're like, what does that actually mean? Is it like literal? Is it like did God just say, don't eat from this fruit, or what does it like? Is it metaphorical in a sense? And I was thinking about it, and you know, had some views.
That is quite an interesting topic right there. I mean, personally, I think it's about disobedience,
Okay.
but I do not have enough informed knowledge on the topic to make such opinion. So I would like to ask for yours.
Well, I'll explain it. I think I was going to say something after, but
Okay.
so what I think is about. I feel like Genesis was kind of like a metaphor about how human nature is. So
Yeah.
you think about it, the more we know, the more paranoid we become. The more we know about the evil that's in the world. If you think about it. For example, let's say there's a test in a sense, like a health checkup, and you don't know the outcome of this test.
Yeah.
In that moment, you're in paradise because you could be anywhere. You don't know what your fate is. Let's say you already had cancer, but you
Yep.
didn't know. In that moment of time, your ignorance is bliss in a sense. You don't know the danger that lies away with you.
Yeah.
But as soon as you find out that information, your whole world cascades down in a sense. You always had cancer, but until you knew that you had cancer, it didn't affect you in a sense.
That
and
is
I feel like this
compelling.
metaphor of eating from the tree of good and evil kind of represents like that humans are always searching for, are curious for knowledge in a sense.
Yeah.
But that is the thing that, in a sense, kills us.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I
And I
get
feel
where
like-
you're coming from.
And I feel like this whole thing about God punishing, I don't think we should look at it as in that sense. I feel it's like it's just a consequence of knowing too much. So, for example, 500 years ago, people didn't probably know what cancer was in a sense.
Yep.
And they would just live their life and they would drop dead. They didn't know what it was. But now, a doctor will tell you, well, bro, you have 3 years to live because you have like leukemia. Now that's on people's minds in a sense.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
can you see that we are putting hell into people's lives by giving them knowledge?
Yeah, I can see your point. That is such a great and compelling point.
And
So, sorry for intervening,
go
but
on.
am I right to assume that you're saying that God essentially protected us?
Well, yeah, exactly. So if you think about how parents relate to their children, you don't tell a 4-year-old about the birds and the bees straight away.
Yep.
You kind of ease them in a sense.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
now you see that kind of parent relationship that's like, symbolized in the Bible. It's like he protected us from the knowledge because he knew it would damage us in a sense.
Yep.
And which got me thinking in a sense, like if you think about this whole thing, like everyone wants to go to heaven in a sense. So there's a verse in the Bible, like in the New Testament, that talks about, it says, you have to be like a child to enter heaven. Well, I think that means the Bible is promoting ignorance. So it's, and that's the question: do you want to go to a place where you know nothing in a sense? So there's always that question, like, how would you enjoy heaven if you know your best friend was burning in hell in a sense? you can't really do that. Or
Yeah,
how can you
yeah,
enjoy
I get where
heaven,
you're
you know,
coming
like
from.
billions of people are enjoying it? You can't. So unless heaven is just eternal ignorance, that's the only way it can, you know, work in a sense. And yeah, that's the kind of thing I was working like. Do you want to be in eternal ignorance, or are you going to let your human nature of curiosity drag you down to the pits of hell, or whatever that means?
That's interesting. That is quite an interesting view. Now, within the room, we have another philosophical individual here who has been.
It's just a quick point. I really like that point. It's
All right.
really,
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, wouldn't
Hey, come over. Share your point.
It's just a quick point.
Yeah.
Wouldn't the verse, you can repeat it on the mic, but wouldn't the verse, being like a child, refer to innocence rather than ignorance?
It could be, but this is just the one I was interpreting. So like the
Yeah,
book of
based
Genesis
on
could
one's
be,
interpretation, it could be
yeah.
ignorance rather than
Innocence,
innocence. Yeah.
because the thing
I
is,
feel like too much ignorance is, it doesn't, ignorance is bliss instead. I do like that, that saying, ignorance
Yeah.
is bliss. But I feel like too much ignorance, where are we going in the world? You know? As in,
but that's
Yeah,
the thing.
yeah, yeah.
That's the thing. We don't. That's what I'm talking. I'm saying, as the Bible's like conveys, like, the more knowledge you have, the more. For example, okay, we learn how to build cars. Now people can get hit by cars. It's like the more we learn, the more opportunities we see that could harm us in a sense.
That's also a learning curve. Like, so
But is that a
the
good
fourth-
thing?
The fourth caliph and the first Imam said,
Okay.
in Islamic history,
Yeah.
his name was Ali.
Yeah.
He said, seek knowledge
Yeah.
from birth
So just to give some
grave."
context.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. This is where we feel this confused because like Jesus also says like, well in the Bible he says, seek the truth and the truth will set you free.
Yep.
But then it seems from like that's you know the start of the Bible is like, listen, be as ignorant as possible and just live your life as you know without knowing.
But I feel like more than ignorance, and I do get it, but I really like that.
Yeah.
one. It's more-
Come here. Sit down.
All right. We'll bring in one of our guests in, and we'll have some interesting debate.
More than relax, bro. More than ignorance, it's more. You made me lose my train of thought. So I feel like it's more Ralph's point of it being disobedience to God rather
Okay.
than seeking the knowledge. Because look at the topic, and this is a really interesting topic, and I'm sure you know a little bit about it. God's predestination versus the human's free will.
Okay.
Right, and I've been studying this recently, and I still can't fully wrap my head around it. But it's where's the balance between God's free will and predestination? Because God, if we go under the basis that God's all powerful, which I know that's the one thing that Christians and Muslims have in common.
Yeah.
God is all powerful.
Yeah.
And has knowledge over all things. So when He said to Adam and Eve,
Yeah.
"Don't touch the fruit,"
Yeah.
did He not know that they were going to eat the
No,
fruit?
he would have known.
So that's why, as a Shia Muslim, the Shia Muslims have a unanimous view
Yeah.
that there has to be a right balance of God's predestination and a human's free will.
Yeah.
But where do you think the balance lies in the story of Adam and Eve?
Well, this is how I deal with it in essence. So it's like, okay, in terms of the whole predestined thing. Okay, I'll just add another point. So I was adding. So you know this whole thing of them eating from the tree of life and then becoming naked.
Yeah.
If you look at it from like a science background, this gets really, really like eerie in a sense.
Yeah, yeah.
If you think about it, they're all naked in a sense.
Yeah.
So now humans are upright creatures. If you think about it, so our internal organs face everything, which means we're susceptible to danger in a sense. Most animals, like tigers, cats, dogs, they have like they're on their all fours and their vital organs are facing downwards, which means if you want to attack them and hurt them, you really have to like you have to work a bit. So we are kind of vulnerable because we are upright in a sense. Now the fact that Adam and Eve then wore clothes. If you think about what our clothes, they all cover all the like vital parts of our body. It's like as soon as they realized that bad things can happen, they started to protect themselves.
They covered up,
and
yeah,
they're scared of each other in a sense, because they realized
They
that
stayed, the Bible says they stayed away from each other.
because now they can realize, well, he can hurt me from here and she can hurt me from here, and like that's what kind of like this whole thing with like why you shouldn't seem naked, you shouldn't show your vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
Now that was
That's a really good point, but do you not think that's more, rather than the sin of Adam and Eve, more like a lesson for us?
Well, another word for sin is not like, everyone like interprets sin as, okay, sin is a bad thing. Sin actually derives from the word of missing a target in a sense. I think God's plan for humans was to have this like, kind of like, to live in this heaven in a sense, and just like, obviously as this word, ignorance is bliss. And the fact that we missed the target, as in you can say sin, against God, we've now missed the shot, and now we have to find other ways to orient ourselves in the world without, you know, damaging ourselves. So this is where the whole concept of sacrifice comes in. So if you look at all the sins, they all backfire in a sense. So, for example, do not murder. Why should you murder? You say, okay, don't murder because, you know, people will come for you in a sense. But that's kind of like the point. But as also you can think of it as like, the more bad things you do, the more you realize that other humans can do that to you, in a sense. So if you, let's say you cheat on your wife, you're probably going to be more paranoid that she's going to cheat on you next, in a sense, because it's like you've opened your eyes to what the human capabilities are, and by doing those evils, you are realizing that people can be a lot more darker than they seem, in a sense, and because you can do it, well, anyone can do it, in a sense. You're not any special from anyone else. So it's like opening your eyes to even more darkness that can happen. So like a nice exercise I like to do is like think about Hitler and the things he's going to say. What situation would I have to be in order to want to gash 9 million Jews? Like, and trying to think your way through it. What brainwaves are, you know, what must happen to me? And it's really hard. Like you think about all like, you know, like Jeremy Dahmer, who like, you know, started killing people and like eating them, in a sense. What must go in your brain in order for you to get to that stage, in a sense? And
so in your opinion then,
yeah.
So where does that, I have a twofold question.
Yeah.
Does that, things like, you know, Hitler and these sort of international crimes that everyone knows about till today, does that all stem from the sin of Adam and Eve? That's the first question. And the second question would be, do you still classify Adam and Eve's doing as a sin or a lesson?
Well, see, my view of Genesis, because I'm a Christian, but I'm like very weird because I look at Genesis as a more metaphorical thing. So Adam but
but you speak for yourself right now.
Yeah, I speak for myself right now. So in Adam, in ancient Hebrew, means the man. That's what it means. It doesn't mean there wasn't a guy literally called Adam. In Hebrew, it means the man, and Eve means the woman. And then they have like loads of kids, and then you know you have like kids talking about like this one created instruments and this one created like tents, and it's like, okay, come on, like. Your son didn't create a tent and your brother didn't create like it's obviously there's millions of years in between. So that's why I kind of incorporate like religion and like evolution and the science in it. So I find a way to like not get any contradictions with it. Mm-hmm. So I feel like this story is kind of like representing how all humans fail, in a sense. We go seeking after knowledge and at the end it backfires. And when it backfires, you realize that we must now sacrifice the future for the present for the future, in a sense. So if you think about it, like as soon as Adam and Eve commit the sin, that you know, the fall of man, in a sense, they learn that, you know, there's bad things that can happen from Eve, from the tree of life, and then, you know, Eve does her thing, and they both get banished from paradise. They both have knowledge. They have no ignorance, so it's no longer bliss. Weeds start to sprout from the ground. God puts weeds on the ground. Yeah. I think weeds were always there. It's just that they didn't know it was there because they were ignorant. And now their eyes are open to all the bad things that happen.
But did God not know that was going to happen?
They didn't know that was going to happen.
No, but did God not know that was going to happen?
See, God knows about all the bad things that are going to happen in my eyes.
So did God set up Adam and Eve for a sin?
No, God closed their eyes. What I'm saying, when I say sin, I'm not talking about it as in, I say they missed the target. They have now...
I think you see where I'm coming from, though. I don't see it to be a sin. I don't think it's a sin.
I don't think it's a sin, in a sense. I feel like it was always going to happen, in a sense. This is the way, as I said, I don't believe it's like God set them up. I feel like this is just a story of how all human beings behave. We go seeking knowledge, and then once we go seek knowledge, we figure out all the bad things that can happen on this earth, in a sense. And then we have to prepare ourselves. So now there's weeds in the ground. Guess what? We have to take out the weeds in order to plant. We don't have to sacrifice our present for the future. That's why we're in school. That's why, you know, and we're the only animals that do that. If you give a monkey a bunch of biscuits, he's going to eat all of it. He's not going to like save some for yesterday. We're the only humans, and that's why we're the only self-conscious humans, and that's what the Bible is trying to convey, but in this like archetype of a man and a woman, in a sense. And it's really interesting if you think about why, like, you have the snake and everything. And there's actually a professor called Jordan Peterson who has a nice view on it.
I love this guy. Jordan Peterson's the one. Yeah, what does he say?
He said the reason women became self-conscious before male, they start to realize dangers because they have kids. Yeah. Now, obviously, if you have a child to look after, you have to be wary of the dangers that come down, because you're not only worrying about yourself, you're already worrying about your kids. And women made males self-conscious because men are always like looking for ways to please women, and all of that. And I was like, okay, that makes sense, of course. And why is it snakes, in a sense?
It does give a really interesting topic to speak about in terms of like gender roles. Yeah. And Jordan Peterson's amazing. I've watched quite a few of his videos. I wasn't aware of this one, so I will go home and search it up.
It's his biblical series. I know, obviously.
Oh, it's biblical. Yeah, sure. No, it's still worth a watch. Yeah. It's, you know, I do feel like seeking. ironically, I do feel like seeking knowledge is an amazing thing, so
Yeah.
I will go and watch it. However, I do feel like, and I do have to go, but I'm going to leave you with this one.
Yeah.
I feel like we can learn many stories from the story of Adam and Eve, whether
Okay.
it's from like an Islamic perspective, a Christian perspective, any perspective. But so you have like, was it a sin? Was it a lesson? Then the second one you have, was it, gender roles?
Yeah.
The third one, I have a question, and you can discuss it, and I'll go home and listen to the
Okay.
podcast. But how did, and I'm not asking a trick question, I'm asking a genuine question,
All right.
which I sort of learnt the answer to a couple of days ago. How did we come about? Because but there's no specification as to how they reproduced.
Okay.
So as in you have Adam, Eve, and their children.
Yeah.
How did that sort of progress to us?
So as I said,
we're the
I'll
sons.
answer
Do
this-
you get what I mean? Yeah. We're the sons of Adam and Eve.
I'll answer this very quickly. So,
Sure.
in my view, using evolution and everything. So, obviously, I believe in evolution. But then you say, well, that contradicts the Bible. Well, that means the one mistake people make is they read the Bible as if it's a science book. The Bible is not a science book. If you look at our creation story and how it works, in a sense, it follows this thing that they call Hebrew parallelism. So you see, the first day, like, the land is created, then animals created. Then you have the second day, the sea is created, then you have fish created. It follows this kind of, like, mirror image, in a sense. And if you look at the order, which in the organisms that produce, it follows evolution, in a sense. As I'm thinking, this is kind of like a metaphor, in a sense, to describe how things came about. It's not a science book, it's a poem. It's a description. It's like, you want to read Sonnet 116 and say, okay, this describes oxytocin in the brain and how. You're not supposed to take it literally, in a sense. So when I read it, in a sense, and you look at Adam and Eve, and Adam's name being the man, and he's seeing the reproduction, I will literally go, okay, this is all kind of symbolic, in a sense. So when you look at how apes produced and thing, I actually believe in that kind of like reproduction. And then the story of Adam and Eve is literally humans becoming more self-conscious in themselves. That's when we became human, because we were the first organism to be self-conscious.
Like mentally, because you have survival of the fittest, which is actually quite
Exactly.
a good explanation.
Yes.
But as in survival of the fittest and evolution, I actually don't doubt them. And
Yeah.
people as a Muslim, you don't doubt it. No,
Yeah.
I don't. Actually, I think it's quite logical.
Yeah.
It's more like before that.
Before that, well,
As in, that's where my.
we don't have enough knowledge. And the thing is, to that, people say, there was some like lightning and some proteins.
Ignorance is bliss.
Ignorance is bliss. Yeah, we see around, man.
Such a great discussion. Such a great discussion. No words, honestly. This is what the podcast is here for. To air out the views of the students and give them a platform to share and discuss in a free manner. Ibrahim, I gotta say thank you for coming on, man. You give life to this podcast. Now, coming on, following to your points, Elgin here have a few points to make.
Okay.
In relation to your topic, so I shall pass it on to him.
Hello again. Ibrahim, I really liked your stuff on what you said about Genesis, especially about the meaning about how humanity's discoveries can often lead to its downfall.
Yeah.
Yeah. The way I see Genesis is like quite different.
Okay.
So, because I think a key theme in the Bible, especially Genesis, is temptation.
Okay.
Right? Because everything in the Bible has temptation in it. If you start off with Genesis, you have this story of Adam and Eve, and they have everything. They have the Garden of Eden, and all of that is lost when the snake, the devil, comes in, and he tempts them to eat from the tree, and the temptation to eat the apple ultimately led to the original sin. Okay. And then it's trying to say that the devil isn't like the embodiment of evil.
Yeah.
The devil is temptation. If you go further along the Bible, all of the actions come from temptation.
Yeah.
Like you think about Jesus in the desert for 40 days, and the devil comes in and tempts him. Hey, take these rocks, turn it into bread.
Yeah. You see, about that temptation, so that kind of view that carries on through the Bible in a sense. And it's like resisting temptation kind of makes you stronger in a sense. So it's like, what I was thinking about, so obviously with that theme, I'll kind of pair that with the theme of sacrifice. So like even from like the Old Testament, we have this theme of like atonement. You know, sacrifice this lamb that you can eat now, but you're not going to burn it in a sense. You know, as a sacrifice to God in a sense. In a sense, you're sacrificing the present for the future. Now, if there's a weird theme in the Bible that really gets me, is like, whenever, like for example, Jesus fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. And then also some of the major sins is like, you know, moving away from like, you could say intrinsic things. So there's eating food, there's adultery, because that's an intrinsic thing. Every like male and female has a sex drive and they wouldn't want to just like, you know, let it go in a sense. And the Bible like warns against these kind of intrinsic, built-in, kind of, you could say animalistic things in our brain in a sense. And there's an interesting verse that in the Bible said, I think, so basically, Jesus went over to a fig tree and he went and ate some fruit and it didn't taste that nice. So Jesus went, okay, touched the tree and said, you shall never bear fruit again, and it withered. So then the disciples came running over, they're like, yo, like, how'd you do that? And he was like, with faith, you can tell a mountain to move from here to there and it would move. And they're like, well, how'd you get faith then? And he said, with prayer and fasting. And what I got from that is that when you suppress your those intrinsic vines in a sense in your brain, like, you know, to eat or to commit adultery or to basically do all these things that are like embedded in the brain, that kind of animalistic, and you surrender to the rational in a sense, it empowers you with, it gives you power, you could say. And when I say power, it's different. And there's a lot of articles like within science now that say when you fast for a couple of days, you actually get healthier because it's like your body cleans out, and apparently there's some thing about it, like raising IQ and stuff. I've read this properly, but this theme like carries on in every religion that you should sacrifice today. You should shut down in a sense your intrinsic motivations, like to eat, to have sex, to like all those kind of interests, and then, you know, surrender to your rational in a sense. Or you could say get in touch with your spirit. So, and for some reason, if you notice in the Bible, Jesus didn't do any miracles before that event. After the 40 days, that's when he started doing all like, you know, healing the sick and then walking on water. Before then, he couldn't do it. Well, he could, but he didn't do it. And it seems like this temptation, this resistance of temptation, is kind of aligned, keeping us with the true path, you could say. And that's kind of like from Genesis in a sense. We avoid temptation and we get in a line, and, you know, good things happen in a sense.
Dude, I just completely blanked out what I was going to say. I had a really good point. What was I going to say? So the suppression of intrinsic values is rejecting temptation.
Yeah.
And from that, society thrived, or like the people thrived.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, that's pretty much what I was trying to say.
That's exactly what we're saying in a sense, yeah. So you suppress that and then you thrive in a sense. So that's the only way you can orient yourself a world where you know all the bad things that can happen. You must sacrifice today for the future in a sense. However, as we look in Proverbs, and it is, I can't even say the word Ecclesiastes. How you say that word? Ecclesiastes, yeah, something like that. And it talks about like reality as if in this metaphor of smoke. Mm-hmm. And it says you shouldn't try to, you know, control reality, because, you know, when you grab, like if you try to grab smoke, it just falls out of your hand. So as much as you can try to sacrifice the present as much as you can, and like try to control how your future is going to pan out, you can't fully control everything. So I don't know how you get that balance in the sense of like trying to like make sure everything works out. Because, you know, you could, for example, in the night, let's say you have school tomorrow, you can iron your clothes ready, plan to, you know.
Ibrahim.
Yeah.
This is entropy.
Yeah.
Like you start off from a state of order.
Yeah.
And then as things grow and get more advanced, disorder increases.
Yeah.
This is entropy. This is chemistry.
I mean, if you want to look at it that way.
That's amazing.
And the more you try to order it, well, you can try, but, you know.
Yeah, it's like what Sir said. You know, there's more ways to keep things orderly than to go from disorder to order. I think.
Wow.
So, now what?
You know, you have any other points? Like this, I'm really down. I'm down. Like, you have any points? I'm done.
All right, Ibrahim. So,
remember when you said that the Old Testament is essentially metaphorical?
Well, some parts in a sense.
Some parts
it is
of
a
it, yeah,
correlation of books and, you know, some parts maybe like poems, and we have to be able to judge that literary styles in order to judge it. You know,
So what's your view then of the New Testament?
Well, the New Testament, it's quite weird because obviously like you have Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John in a sense, and you have their literary styles, and you have to look at the way. I feel like it depends what book you're reading. So for example, Revelations, it's in the New Testament, but it's complete chaos. You have to really understand your Bible in order to understand it.
It is.
Just like there's symbolic, like for example, number 7. That is like representative of like stuff in the Old Testament and New Testament. Is like it's like the authors of the author of Revelation was using a lot of what happened in the Bible before in order to like symbolize how things are going to go down. So you really have to like understand it. Whereas like Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are more like historical accounts. I saw this happen. This is how things happened to me.
Okay.
And then you have like John, which kind of like is more motive, and he like talks about how like Christ, you know, understand what Christ is to him in a sense.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
So it really depends. Like scholars would know what their, you know, the literary styles and everything. Yeah.
So let's get back to your view of evolution, because I find it quite interesting personally, because I do believe I share the same perspective that evolution or science is a way to explain the mysteries of religion. If you catch my drift there.
Yeah.
Because as far as I know, in my limited knowledge at the very least, back then during the Enlightenment period, most of the Catholics believed that, well, not just Catholics, that Christians in general believe that evolution is the way in which God operated, because you can't literally just snap your finger and all of life is
and
right
it was,
there.
I don't know who did it. He said that the earth is 6,000 years old, and everyone was like, yeah, all Christians believe that. Listen, if any rational person, like, okay, well, I'm not saying, let me not get here on the channel. but it's like, if you just like, I don't believe that in a sense. Like, me personally, I don't know if you do, but it's like, I feel like the biggest problem is not knowing the literary styles and not knowing what the Bible trying to communicate is truth and not.
Yeah.
And that's the only way, you know, you can go forward with that. And that's basically it.
So personally speaking, would you put the study of religion on par with the study of science in terms of importance?
Study of the religion's been studied for years. But the one thing we need to make sure we don't do is that we should never let religion hinder science in a sense.
Yeah.
So that's happened for years. So we
definitely.
know, for example, the Catholic Church has done it. And there's actually a famous story about this. So Galileo who kind of discovered that, you know, the Earth was at the center of the universe and you know, all of that. He was basically kind of like captured by the Catholic Church, and they were like, listen, say the Earth is, you know, the center of the universe, so you know, you're never gonna leave prison. So he said this famous quote, which I really like. He said, "The Bible tells me how to go to heaven, not how the heavens go." So we have to not, you know, deviate from what the message of the Bible is. It's not a science book. It's not telling me the origin. It's telling me a story about how Christianity evolved from from self-conscious being the first humans, and how that journey, you know, propagated all the way to, you know, God coming down. Instead of us looking, you know, the Bible said the earth was created in 7 days and God rested. Like, and therefore, like, listen, like, are we? I don't know. I think it's hilarious.
It's more of a childhood story at that point.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. And it's kind of like, I don't know how you can read it not symbolically.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So Elgin has a few points to make, so I shall pass on the mic to Elgin just to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when it comes to like the mixing of religion and science, you know, it's like important to like keep them separate. I feel when it comes to understanding it, because like when I was young, or like when many of us were young, when we learn about religion and the Bible, we just assume all of it is true.
Yeah.
And then you go to secondary school and really get into the science of the world, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, if only at that point are you starting to understand how the world works, science in a scientific way. Mm-hmm. It's like trying to understand it through religion at that age is even more hard. Because even now, I think I consider myself like a full Catholic.
Yeah.
But I don't fully understand what the Bible's all about, because I still find new meaning to it, like, all the time. Like what I said about Genesis and how it's a story about temptation, rather than taking it as an actual story about God punishing humans because they were eager, right? So, where was I going with this? So it's like understanding, like, it's important to understand both aspects of science and religion.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we're not even close to understanding how the world works through science.
Yeah.
There's like, you know, like going beyond the solar system, going beyond the, like, our galaxy. We don't know if aliens exist, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then, oh yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, that was basically like, you're definitely right. I feel like if you're like, you know, religious and you're like trying to incorporate science, I feel like you should live a life incorporating religion in order how to live your life, because science doesn't tell you how to live your life. Whereas to know how life works, how things work, you should then use science in a sense. So it's like, so the whole argument is like, okay, well, science can't tell you how to live your life. And people are like, well, why can't it in a sense? And it's like, well, if we base our lives purely on science, well, we're just a bunch of chemicals in a sense. And we're just interacting randomly with each other, and we're just bumping into each other, and everything we do is just interaction. And by a famous philosopher called Laplace, he said that if I knew every particle in the universe and the forces that govern them, I would know the future from the second the universe started, which means that ultimate determinism has to be the only way if science is the only way, which means that you can't tell Hitler he's wrong. Why? Because he's just a bunch of particles interacting with other particles. And what gives humans meaning then? So if I cut a piece of lettuce, I'm just, you know, interacting with a bunch of chemicals. Hitler gassing a bunch of Jews, he's just interacting with a bunch of chemicals. It's just chemicals interacting with other chemicals.
Yeah, that is.
Then where do morals come from? So if you're going to take science to the limit and say, you know, you're going to be like, I don't know, pure atheist, purely atheistic, and say, this is the only way. Morals don't exist. It's not that you don't have morals. A lot of people say, oh, you're trying to say atheists don't have morals. So no, it's like, morals don't exist. It's literally just, we just interact. I think I really respected some guy. He said to his girlfriend, he said, you know, the only reason I love you is because there's a bunch of chemicals want me to spread, you know, my genes into you. And he's like, it's not that like there's this, you know, thing inside of me that's no, it's literally a bunch of chemicals in a sense, and then, you know, that's how it works. So
So essentially, by living, English. By looking at the world through the scientific perspective alone, it's basically you are losing your humanity in that process.
Yeah.
Because there's no value in being alive if you look at it as a chemical. I mean, the pen that I'm holding on right now literally
has the same value as you in a sense. You're both
essentially, yeah.
And when you're thinking about that, it's kind of crazy because then we ultimately rely on the Bible in order to say we have value. And wait, where did that come from in a sense? How can we trust? And that's the only thing that gives the morals. Why can't I come over and slap you? In a sense, well, because you have value, that would be wrong. And that's the thing that the Bible gives us. It tells us how to orient ourselves in the world in a sense. And
Okay, fair enough. Coming onto the mic now is Abdullah Asif. Just to come on, lads, get your shit together.
Just wanted to say, Ibrahim, the past like half an hour, it's just great. I'm just telling you and Elgin, thank you for coming. We do really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Because this is why we need more people to like get interested in this podcast. And obviously everyone's given up their time here, and it's good. Because it's nice to talk about things. It gets us away from the A-level stress. So my follow-up question to you and Elgin is, do you think religion, think back like to, you know, Galileo time.
Yeah.
Do you think religion has held back science?
Yes, no, definitely. Yeah. I mean, there's like evidence, like it did. Like they actively did it. Like they used to, I think I don't think there's any argument. However, it has progressed religion in certain ways, in a sense, because some scientists did use. They said they wanted to find out how God created the universe in a sense. They wanted to work out how he did these things, but I feel like it's hindered, you know, our progress much more than it did before. So, yeah, I couldn't. I would agree. Yeah, it's held back. It's held back progression.
See, like, because when you can't, it's weird to say that religion in itself holds back science.
Okay,
because like, you know, like I say, like, you don't mix the two together. It's not, it doesn't work. It's like oil and water.
Yeah.
Because it's unfair to say that the Bible and all the books that come from it itself hinders science.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that when I talk about religion, I'm talking about the people in a sense.
Oh, yeah.
The
Okay,
Bible
because with
is-
that I agree.
Because people who've interpreted the Bible and said this is how it is, and then they've imposed that on other people. That's what's hindered religion in a sense.
Yeah,
And
because
and maybe, so you could say maybe if the authors of the Bible were a bit more clear, this problem would have arisen in a sense. People would have think, listen, like this is what it means, and this is what it has to mean for the next 3,000 years in a sense.
yeah, because it's like the comparison between Old Testament and New Testament.
Yeah.
Old Testament people are like fairly different to like how we are in like now, because like you look at that famous quote, eye for an eye, and you know people even talk about it today when it comes to performing like certain acts, and then you go back to the New Testament and it's
Like,
like,
turn the other cheek,
you turn the other cheek and you hug your enemy, right? You pray for the enemy.
Well, it's like
I
feel like with that, because a lot of people like look at the Old Testament and be like, oh well, God has radically changed halfway through the Bible, and I disagree with that, because I feel like within the Old Testament, what really happened was like they needed legislation in a sense. So like with this whole eye for eye thing, it was like, listen, if someone takes your eye, are you just gonna, like there needs to be some way of like judging people in a sense, and that was the way of them like maintaining balance in a sense. Well, I'm not gonna plug at your eye because someone's gonna plug at mine. Whereas as we moved into Christianity, it changed in a sense, because it's like, well, even if you plug mine, I should notice that, you know, I can't judge you in a sense. I can't put myself above you, so I can't then, you know, take out your eye in a sense. I feel like New Testament kind of became really, really understanding in a sense. It's a weird one, yeah.
Yeah, because like I think the Bible, I remember hearing an argument that the Bible is essentially like a rule book on how to live properly.
Well,
like you compare to the standards of the Old Testament to the New Testament. Old Testament people are acted more, what was it like? I don't want to say savage, like the way they acted was like less peaceful, less moral.
We have to remember that, you know, the Bible, like obviously the Bible was written by man in a sense. So as much as, you know, we're gonna be like, oh yeah, it was inspired by God. God didn't come down and be like, yeah, write this. It was inspiration, and then people put their taste on it in a sense. So I don't think God came over and was like, guys, yeah, you can do the slave trade. It was like, these guys are already doing the slave trade, and God was like, yeah, relax. Kind of like, he inspired them to relax off it in a sense. The same way, the eye for eye. Maybe at some point it was like, you kill me, you kill one of my friends, and I kill your whole family. And God was like, you know, relax. Let's make it equal in a sense. So it's kind of like, you know, he inspired like stability in a sense. And then Christianity just fully got stripped in a sense. I don't know.
Yeah, like, because like what like gets to me with like Catholics especially is like when people just like cherry pick stuff from the Bible. Yeah, because like, you know, people always say eye for an eye, this isn't right, you do this, I'll do this. But then people forget about like turn the other cheek and hug your enemy.
See,
right?
that's the one thing.
Like, because like you could argue that's a reason like society was hindered, right? It's fine.
Yeah.
Coming off from Elgin's point, couldn't you say that is how, in a sense, religion is bastardized?
Yeah.
All these sects are formed, and it polarizes people.
Yeah, I would say, because the thing is, okay, so a lot of people like compare Christianity to other religions, and they look at Christianity with the whole 1.3 billion. First, we need to cut off like 2 billion out of the world. I don't know how they get minus numbers, because half of them are like just, you know, they don't really, just ticking a box. And half of them, like there's like 4,000 sects of Christianity, and they're all like all following their own different thing. So they're all like doing their own things. You can't really just say, you can't compare Christianity with another religion. You have to compare one sect of Christianity with a whole religion, because they're all following different things. Because the Bible is like one of the oldest religions on earth in a sense. So it's had so much time to like split into different parts. And it's so liable to different interpretations that people can go for what they believe. And then it's also liable to what Paul describes in Colossians as sheep's and wolves in sheep's clothing. So a lot of people will tailor the Bible to fit a reality they want in a sense. So it's, oh look, the Bible says this, so I'm gonna live my life like this.
Yeah, that's exactly what we saw during the Atlantic slave trade.
Yeah.
Sad to say,
Yeah.
they exploited the Bible to do those evil things.
Yeah. And it still happens today. I will get into this point because this is like something really personal. But I think Abdullah wants to say something real quick.
Okay, yeah.
Because as like an outsider, because I'm not obviously a Muslim, right? And so like, have you seen 12 Years a Slave?
No,
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Okay, it's quite interesting as well. It's just like, even to this day, there are some people there who use the Bible to justify.
Like the KKK and that.
Yeah, yeah. Because do you remember when? Remember the scene where he got the Bible out? Yeah. Do you know what Elgin knows the scene? You go look it up on the laptop. What happens was, he essentially was using the Bible to justify his reasons for slavery, which I just think was preposterous. What were you going to say, Elgin? Go on.
Well, no, I was just going to say that I saw 12 Years a Slave. and then I thought we could discuss from that. Because
Okay,
I think
come
I
on.
know what you're
Come on
talking
then.
about, which scene.
Ibrahim could take a break then.
Yeah.
So he wants a water.
Ibrahim's been at it.
We should provide water. We are very, very bad hosts.
Should we like take a five or
PS,
something?
right? No PS enough for that, man.
We can take 5 if you want.
Nice. You look and take 5. I don't mind.
No.
Do you mind taking? Should we take a 5 to regroup our thoughts,
Yeah, sure.
or do you want to put a conclusion to this?
You can take a fire. I'm out.
Yeah, let's take
All
a
right.
five.
Do you know what? We'll take a 5.
All right, listeners, we are going to be taking a fiver. Please come back in 5 minutes, 300 seconds. How many milliseconds?
Oh my gosh.
And we'll
Oh,
be
wow,
right
It's
back.
very specific.
Yeah, I don't know how many milliseconds it is. It's probably like times 5,000.
Millisecond, 1,000.
Go. One.
No, but just want to say so far, it's been great. Me and Ralph have literally enjoyed. We are very thankful that you two came on, and even Mohammed for his input as well. We are very thankful for this. So we're going to take a 5, and we're just going to come back.
In 5 minutes. So how do you pause a stream?
No. So, for now, we'll let the Spitfire lads come on, and we're just gonna hop back on in. So, I'd like to welcome Usman and Ziad for the Spitfire segment.
Hey guys, currently in the middle of something, so I'll be in like a in and out transition thing with Usman. Yeah, so Usman will be mainly taking the reins with this one.
What are we doing?
So just literally talk YOLO. They're taking a 5-minute break on their conversation, so yeah, we're back up. You know.
Fair, isn't it all day?
To be honest, it's meant to be Spitfire Day, but Rants and Bants had to delay their thing, and now we're just doing a collaboration. So, yeah. Just what you been up to, Usman?
I had a computer science test, which is why I was late.
Been good, yeah?
Nah, not really. It went okay.
You wanna catch us up on the 49ers?
Huh?
You wanna catch us up on the 49ers?
God, okay. So, we lost to the Packers on Monday Night Football, which was annoying, but we played good. We scored 30 points against one of the best teams in the NFL, which is saying a lot. Our defense didn't look as bad. Our offense actually looked pretty sturdy, considering how bad our offense has been for the past couple of weeks. We didn't have that many injuries this week, but now Sunday night we have the LA Rams, who are the only undefeated team left in the NFL. We could beat them, even though we're like the worst team in the NFL at the moment. Do you even know the name of the team? Where? England. The England Patriots. The England Patriots. Do you know who they're facing? The New England Patriots are facing America. Are you sure? Yeah?
We should really have music to go in this background. They just put music on.
Oh, we'll do that next time, innit?
I can literally just put it on right now. It's choices. Put some of our music produced. Produces his own music. Jack Wilmore's music. Or you can just hear us chatting.
You called the okay. They called the episode YOLO.
Huh?
They called the episode YOLO.
No, I called it YOLO.
Why'd you call it YOLO?
Because they didn't plan anything for the.
Yeah, but neither do we, and we call it zombie apocalypse.
No, because we do plan it just before.
Nico, come here. What is your weapon of choice in a zombie apocalypse?
A zombie. I could be invisible.
What do you mean invisible?
What, your weapon of choice?
Your weapon of choice is a zombie.
To be. His weapon of choice is to be invisible.
Yeah, but what if your zombie dies?
It's a weapon.
Being invisible is not a weapon.
Yeah, you can chop off their heads.
We're talking about you can chop off their heads with invisible.
It's more safer if you're invisible from them.
No, but that's not the weapon, as in a physical weapon.
I'd say katana, sharp katana.
That's what you said, isn't it? That's what you said, katana.
Exactly, my brother.
No, I'll tell you one thing.
No, shut up.
I'm gonna get like,
I'll be right back, guys.
what is it? A nuke.
You're gonna use a nuke. You're saying walk backwards, but you realize if you nuke it, you'd die too. You make yourself tall.
Cool. Make my last days enough. When I ain't staying enough, of course, no way. But it's true though. I mean, wait, so I can.
So you wouldn't use something that you'd be able to use over and over again.
Oh, okay.
You just use one nuke and then you'd be done.
I'd say something true. Like, I want something sharp, but really.
A katana. You can still say a katana even though.
You can chip it from a bat, baseball bat. With metals on it. Metals on it.
Oi, you hearing this? Baseball bat.
With nails on it.
Same wavelength. He said baseball bat too.
With nails on it, because that way it's sharp, but it won't get damaged at all because it's blunt.
Yeah, but what about if it's stuck in there?
You go, damn it, that's where you have to get stronger. What are you gonna do? You're gonna.
There's a risk of it getting stuck in.
Then you should go. Then you pull it
Or
off.
if there's one behind you. You have something.
Was on £2.
You're gonna do that with a baseball bat.
Yeah. So, what's your weapon of choice if you were in a zombie apocalypse? What's your weapon of choice if you were in a zombie apocalypse? Be like Rambo. Be prepared for axe.
Oh yeah.
Small shots.
Where do you keep that? Where do you keep that?
In room. Lodging. I wasn't gonna keep it in my bag. I did it.
No, I thought you take it home with you.
No. Why did I do that? Huh?
Is your logon working on the computer? Your logon. Yeah. Mine isn't working. I can't bother
Don't
to do it.
reset your thing. You won't be able to do it. I'm gonna just stretch this over a little bit more.
I'm gonna have to do it before tomorrow. I'll do it now. Regardless,
I don't even know where Demerol went. Where did they actually go?
I have no idea. Probably get food.
Probably. 15.
Do you want to come on and talk about mango?
Huh?
Do you want to come on and talk about mango with him?
I have to bring it back. Because I did just did a bit today, so that
No, but like now, and then you can take it back.
I mean, I'll do it after I come back.
Alright.
What, the Ibrahim? Evan, go to, what? Go to in the,
Is that your way of getting out of it? Is you doing work your way of getting out of talking? Yeah? This is better when there's someone to talk to, you know? Should just put music and leave it in the background.